In this hand, you're playing a $44 buy-in 6-max tournament. You have pocket fours in the small blind. What should you do here? Come on, don't get cute. Everybody limps all the time now. You can play this hand. We raise. Villain 19 calls. Let's drill the situation you guys don't like. Let's see how you feel after this. You're not going to get better unless you put yourself in uncomfortable situations and work your way out of it. We'll talk about it today. 6 of spades, 5 of clubs, king of clubs. Here, do you want to check or bet? It's like when you were taking driving lessons. Remember that? There would be one thing you were uncomfortable with. Maybe it was going on the highway and you went with a driving instructor and it got a little bit easier. You had details to work on. It's the same thing. That's what we're doing today. Compare this to what a lot of people do when they play poker. They get themselves into an uncomfortable situation and they just shut down. They don't learn anything from that point on. They don't study the situation when they get home. It just becomes a sore spot in their side for the rest of their poker life. We're not going to do that. Board comes 6 of spades, 5 of clubs, king of clubs. Check or bet. We fire 4 big blinds. Villain 19 calls. The turn is the 3 of spades. It is on you. Would you like to check or bet? That's it. If you did want to bet here, how much did you want to bet? It's 14.5 big blinds in the middle. All right. So we bet 16.75 big blinds and 14.5 and goody gumdrops. He calls. Good luck. River's the ace of diamonds. Check or bet. Just a few more seconds. That is it. We move all in. And he folds. Let's break down this hand. We got an overbet today. You guys love overbet day, right? So why do we overbet? So first off, we raise pre-flop because this hand is fine enough to raise. But more importantly, we know how to play flops. So we can make something work even when we miss. So the board comes king 6-5. Not the loveliest of boards, but what's working for us right now. Villain 19 likely called with far too many hands pre-flop. And that means they're missing quite a bit on this flop. And it's not like we don't have firepower for them on turn and river. You can't be scared of big bets when you play big bet poker. I know that sounds self-explanatory, but the vast majority of poker players are not willing to go out on a bluff. When was the last time you bluffed out of a tournament? Triple barreled out of a tournament? Overbet bluffed out of a tournament? And I'm talking live. I mean, everybody got to see you do it. You had to turn over the cards or let everybody know you did it. You had to walk away from the table. When was the last time that happened? If you can't remember that, or if it's been a long time, that means there is one play you will not do. And if there's one play you normally will not do, or will almost never do, that means there's a tool you do not have in your toolbox. Now, let's say you're saying to yourself, I never get caught. All my triple barrel bluffs get through. That's not a good thing. That means you're only picking the triple barrel bluffs that have close to 100% success rate. What if it has an 80% success rate and the jam on the river needs to work, I don't know, 58% of the time? Still a profitable play, right? But that means 1 time out of 5, you're going to get caught. If you're taking advantage of all the profitable situations, you will get caught at some point. So we're firing here, but it's because we can work through this hand. So we fire on this flop. This player calls. Now we turn an open-ended straight draw. Good, it gives us some equity, but more importantly, we're not really that worried about his range. Why? There's flush draws and straight draws on the flop. Remember when we talk about that? What do flush draws and straight draws mean? What do people like to do with 2 pair or sets when there's flush draws and straight draws out there? The biggest pot most people have ever lost in their life was with a set versus a flush, or with 2 pair versus a straight, or something like that. They want to avoid that feeling. They want to raise and get the money in ahead right now. There's not that many combinations of 6s or 5s or king 6 or whatever it is to begin with. And if they're raising with some of those combinations, there's even less of them when they just call you here. So we're ruling out a lot of the 2 pairs. We're ruling out a lot of the sets. All right. So what's likely calling here? Whenever you're ranging your opponent, start with 2 pair or better, pairs, draws, and high cards. Start with that. So we just went through 2 pair or better. We're very skeptical. Okay, how about pairs? Get specific. The more specific you get in practice, the easier this will be on the felt. Is this ace king? Well, most likely ace king would have 3-bet you pre-flop, so probably not. Is this king queen? King queen might raise you on occasion on the flop, so we can somewhat discount that, but okay, yeah, sure. But what is this going to be mostly? It's going to be a lot of weaker pairs. It's going to be, this person just called a small blind raise. We wouldn't be shocked if they had 10-6 suited or 5-8 suited or king 9 off or king 8 off. It's a lot of pairs that would sure not like it if you triple barrel put them in. Think about it. Even if you had top pair here, let's say you got a king 7 you defended the big blind with, are you going, please triple barrel me, please triple barrel me, please overbet? Hell no. Nobody's thinking that. That's an awful situation to be in. So the turn gives us a really nice situation. So we have an open-ended straight draw, which gives us a number of outs, which means this overbet doesn't even need to work that often. So when you overbet just slightly over the size of the pot, the bet needs to work just a hair over 50% of the time. It'll be 52 or whatever it is. But you have a backup plan. If he calls you, you hit on the river some percentage of the time. So your bet doesn't need to work that full 52, 53% of the time. You're looking pretty good here. And let's say he's only calling you with kings when you overbet. That's probably not enough calls. Would you really like calling with a 6 here when a person overbets? And it's not like the hand is over. We could get more money if this river is a deuce or a 7. Also, this is my, so let's say that river is a spade. A lot of people, but let's say it's the 2 of spades. Gives you the straight, but a backdoor flush comes in. A lot of people say, don't bet that. A flush draw came in. Well, I don't know if he has that many backdoor flush draws to begin with. And if he has just a bare backdoor flush draw and you overbet, he might have folded some of those. So you're probably good to go. I mean, he just doesn't have many of those to begin with. And if he folds any of them, that's even better. So you can go ahead and fire for value. But we overbet here, and we know the majority of his combinations don't want to see this. No 6 wants to see this. No 5 wants to see this. No 8-7 wants to see this. No 2 clubs wants to see this. And if he's got something like king two of hearts, he's not like, yeah, sweetie, overbet, and I have top pair with a 2 kicker. This is the best day of my life. So most likely you're going to get more than the 50% and change folds you need to get on this turn. And you got a backup plan if it's not quite penciling out. So he calls, all right, good job. You passed that test. But uh-oh, what does this ace signify? Well, he probably doesn't have that many aces. Because remember, ace king probably 3-bets his preflop. Ace 6, ace 5. Ooh-wee, do they call on the turn? That's a pretty tough turn call to make. A lot of folks might fold that. And I mean, generally, I mean, even if he does call with those hands, which maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, he just doesn't have many aces to begin with. Most likely, if he called you on that turn, he's holding on for dear life with king. And what do you think he's thinking when the ace comes on that river? It's not a very nice word. Because one likely hand you could have is just ace X of clubs. Sure. Ace 6 of clubs. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you'd shove that on the river. So this puts a really nice situation out there for you. And your bet doesn't even need to work that often. What are you risking? 40 big blinds to win 88 big blinds? Because you're really only shoving 40 big blinds because of the effective stacks. Now, you might be asking yourself, and it does work this time. I did not burn 44 bucks in my free time, so that was good. Or, well, actually, I guess I wouldn't have. I would have still been in the tournament. But now, what if that river is 10 of hearts? Just a blank. Should you fire again? That is the art form of null limit hold'em. Now, my personal opinion would be if they called an overbet on that turn, they're usually not in the business of trying to fold on the river, especially if a bunch of draws miss. If they've decided to hero call you for one overbet, you've probably weeded out a lot of the weaker hands. But sometimes, I don't know why people do this live. You'll overbet the turn, and you'll see a guy trying to get his nerve up to call. You'll see a guy really struggling. I don't know why. North American players seem to do this a lot, and I'm not really sure why this is. But they'll visibly, on their face, be in pain. And then they'll like kind of stamp the chips out there like, I'm not going to let you bully me. And if you see that, and if it's a big enough tournament where the guys really got to think through it on the river, and if it's a big enough buy-in where it would really hurt to call off and be wrong, you should really think about that river jam. Even on some of those cards that aren't as good for you. If you enjoyed this and want more content just like this, go to pokerheadrush.com. That website one more time, pokerheadrush.com.